Listen closely. This moment right here, this is for the ones who dared to step into the chaos with nothing but a handful of random pieces, shattered thoughts, fragmented ideas, a jumble of what the world called nonsense. For those who tossed fragments of confusion, skepticism, even ridicule into the void, not knowing if it would ever stick or if anyone would care, you threw it all together. No blueprint, no guaranteed outcome, just pure rawness, a messy gamble. And now, the impossible has happened. That chaos you created, it's a trend, it's a movement, it's global. Who would have thought? Who could have predicted that the things you called dumb, ridiculous, or outlandish would spread like wildfire, igniting minds and shaking up the status quo? The world turned its back, yet somehow your random became their anthem. This isn't luck. This isn't a fluke. It's proof, undeniable proof, that from confusion, from the seemingly meaningless, comes power. From chaos emerges clarity. From what the world dismisses, greatness is born. You see, what you did was dangerous, not in the way that makes headlines, but in the way that rewrites the rules. You didn't follow anyone's instructions. You didn't wait for permission. You grabbed the scraps others discarded, the pieces they ignored or laughed at, and you put them together in a way no one else dared to try. That's not random. That's vision disguised as madness, and it's terrifying to the comfortable, the complacent, and the critics. When you threw those elements together, you were playing with fire. Not the kind that burns you down, but the kind that forges you anew, stronger, sharper, unstoppable. You risked everything for an idea that had no roadmap. The world didn't understand, and that was your greatest weapon, because what the world can't understand, it fears. What it fears, it tries to suppress. But you didn't stop. You kept pushing, kept creating, kept believing in the strange, the weird, the seemingly worthless. And now, that dumb stuff has become a beacon. But don't let this moment fool you into thinking it was easy. It wasn't. It never is. Behind the rise of every trend born from randomness is a story of isolation, doubt, and struggle. You faced the sneers, the silent dismissals, the loud criticisms that told you you were wasting your time. Every time you thought about giving up, you remembered something, that inside the chaos you were crafting, there was a spark no one else could see but you. The truth is, trends don't come from perfection. They come from imperfection, from raw, unfiltered passion, from mistakes made and lessons learned in real time. You didn't wait for the perfect moment or the perfect idea. You started anyway. You built something out of broken pieces, fragmented thoughts, and wild risks. And that's the real secret behind what's now global: imperfection, persistence, and the guts to be unapologetically yourself when no one else believed in it. What you made wasn't neat, tidy, or polished. It was messy, rough around the edges, even confusing at times. But it was real, and real connects, real inspires, real disrupts. You tapped into something authentic, something raw, something the world desperately needed but didn't know how to ask for. You became a catalyst for change, not because you played it safe or stayed inside the lines, but because you broke every rule and dared to make sense out of the nonsense. Now look at you. Your random HHT is everywhere. It's in the headlines, on screens, in conversations. What once seemed meaningless has become meaningful. You're not just a participant in this trend. You're the originator, the spark, the reason it's alive. That's a powerful position to be in. But with power comes responsibility. You know this isn't the end. This is only the beginning. Trends fade, Movements endure. So what will you do next? You have two choices. You can ride the wave of this trend, letting it wash over you, maybe even defining you. Or you can take this chaotic success and build something bigger, something lasting. Because remember, trends are born in chaos, but legends are forged in purpose. The random bits you threw together, they were the seeds. Now it's time to cultivate, to grow, to rise. And here's the thing, no one is coming to save you. No one handed you this opportunity. You took it. You earned it by embracing uncertainty, by risking failure, by showing up again and again when no one else did. The world may not understand what you created, but it can't deny the impact. You're a testament to the fact that sometimes brilliance doesn't come from planning. It comes from chaos, from courage, from the refusal to let your random be defined by anyone but yourself. So hold your head high. Embrace the dark nights when doubt creeps in. Celebrate the messy beginnings, because every piece of dumb you threw together was a rebellion against the ordinary, a refusal to be boxed in. That rebellion changed the game. It made you a pioneer, a creator, a force to be reckoned with. The world is watching. Some will try to imitate, some will try to criticize, but none can replicate the origin story you lived. The randomness you embraced was never random at all. It was revolutionary. And as this trend spreads, remember, you are the reason it exists. You are the proof that from the fragments of uncertainty can come something unstoppable. This is your moment. Own it, not just because it's trending, but because it's real. Because you dared to dream when everyone else doubted. Because you threw random pieces together and turned them into a global phenomenon. And the best part? This is only the beginning. The chaos you started will ripple far beyond this moment, shaking foundations, breaking molds, and inspiring generations who will look back and wonder, how did that dumb go global? They'll never know the full story, the sweat, the pain, the endless nights. But you will, and that makes you unstoppable. Keep throwing your together, keep creating from chaos. Because the world doesn't just need order, it needs your wild, beautiful, random brilliance. You have to understand this. When you started, no one was handing out trophies or applauding your madness. No one was standing behind you, shouting encouragement or saying, yes, keep doing that. Instead, there was silence. There was doubt, your own and everyone else's. There were moments you wanted to scream into the void, wanting the world to just notice, to understand, to validate. But it didn't. It just kept moving. And still, you moved with it, against it, beyond it. You threw random things together not because you thought it would make sense, but because you trusted yourself enough to create meaning where others saw none. That's courage, wrapped in madness. That's a revolution disguised as chaos. And that's why your creation shook the world's foundation. Because the world is used to polished, rehearsed, predictable. It doesn't know how to handle the raw, the unfiltered, the imperfect. But it's exactly what it craves deep down. Something real. This is your superpower. You refuse to be confined by traditional ideas of success or sense. You didn't wait for the perfect time, the perfect plan, the perfect package. You started with what you had, and that was the wild card. That was the unpredictable element no one saw coming. You turned randomness into your secret weapon. And now, that weapon is in your hands, loaded and ready to fire. Think about the weight of that for a moment. From what felt like nothing, from scraps and fragments, you built something that commands attention. People across the globe in cities you'll never visit are drawn to what you created. They're talking about it, sharing it, living it, ita. They're wearing it, saying it, following it. Your dumb is their reality now. But here's the paradox. Just as quickly as the world embraces it, it will try to tame it, box it in, commercialize it, dilute it. It will try to make your chaos neat, orderly, and palatable for the masses. And that's when you have to fight even harder. You have to protect what you built from becoming just another product, another fad that fades away into forgettable noise. Because what you created wasn't meant to be easy. It was meant to disrupt, to challenge, to unsettle the comfortable. The path ahead will be dark. It will be filled with traps and shadows disguised as opportunities. Some will want to take credit, others will want to exploit, and many will want to destroy what you have. That's the cost of shaking the world with something no one expected. But don't be afraid of the dark. The dark is where your roots grow deeper. The dark is where you prove your strength. Remember, every trend eventually reaches a peak, a moment when the excitement fades, the crowd moves on, and only the core remains. The question is, will you be part of the core? Will you let your creation become more than just a passing phase? Will you push beyond the noise and rise into something legendary? You can't do that by playing it safe. You can't do that by following the crowd now that the crowd is following you. This is the time to double down on your authenticity, to deepen your vision, and to refuse anything less than real. Trends come and go, but authenticity endures. Your random will only grow if you nurture it with truth, passion, and relentless dedication. Look back at where you started. Remember the skepticism you faced, the sleepless nights, the moments you felt invisible. Those were your forge. They shaped you. They gave you the grit to survive the chaos. They gave you the hunger to rise above. That hunger is what will carry you forward beyond this trend into something much greater. And here's something most people never understand. The randomness you embraced wasn't just an act of rebellion. It was an act of creation. Creation is messy. Creation is uncomfortable. Creation is brutal, but it is also miraculous. What you put together out of the fragments wasn't random at all. It was the beating heart of a new idea, a new movement, a new way of seeing the world. The world needs more of this kind of courage. It needs more people who will throw the pieces together without hesitation. It needs more voices that refuse to be silenced by doubt or convention. It needs you to keep going, to keep creating, to keep shaking the foundations, even when the ground feels unstable. You are a pioneer of chaos. You are the author of a new narrative, and your story, messy as it is more powerful than you realize. It's a beacon for those who feel lost in the noise, those who doubt their own worth, those who fear that their randomness will never matter. It does matter. It matters more than anything else. Because in a world obsessed with perfection, you dared to be imperfect. In a world drowning in sameness, you created something unique. In a world begging for meaning, you made sense out of nonsense. So take a moment, feel the weight of that truth. You threw random pieces together, and now it's a global force. That's not luck. That's power. That's destiny. And with that power comes a choice: to settle, or to rise, to rest on what you made, or to build something even greater, to fade away with the trend, or to become a legend. The choice is yours. But remember this: the chaos inside you, the fire born from randomness, is endless. It can't be tamed. It can't be silenced. It's the force that will keep you moving, creating, disrupting, and inspiring long after the trend fades. So hold on to that chaos, cherish it, protect it, and never stop throwing your pieces together. Because the world doesn't just need another trend. It needs the unpredictable, the wild, the beautifully random force only you can bring. Don't mistake applause for arrival. Just because they're clapping now doesn't mean you've reached the end of the road. In fact, this might just be the beginning of your hardest chapter. Because now you've been seen, now you've been heard, and with visibility comes the weight of expectation, the kind that can crush those who are only chasing the noise, not the purpose. You didn't get here by following a formula. You got here by throwing things together that weren't supposed to work. You broke the mold. You rewrote what was possible. And when people finally noticed, they didn't know how to categorize it, so they called it a trend. But that's just their way of making sense of something they can't fully grasp. The truth is, what you created isn't a trend. It's a tectonic shift. It's a signal that something deeper is stirring under the surface of the collective mind. A craving for something raw, something unfiltered, something not yet polished by the machinery of mass approval. And here you are, at the center of it. But let me ask you this. Do you know what it took? Really took? Because beneath the surface of this overnight success, there are sleepless nights where you questioned everything. There are silent rooms where you sat staring at broken pieces, wondering if any of it would ever matter. There were moments when your own voice, the one inside you, started to echo back doubt instead of direction. No one talks about that part. No one applauds the nights when you kept creating, even when no one cared. No one sees the internal war you fought when you were surrounded by louder, shinier, more accepted voices. No one celebrates the isolation that comes with being ahead of your time. But it's all part of the story, all part of the cost. You paid that cost, in time, in energy, in faith. You paid it without knowing if there would ever be a return. And now the world wants a piece of what you built. They want to wear it, mimic it, monetize it. And you have a choice. Let them define it. Or you define it again. Bigger, deeper, truer. Because this isn't about one viral moment. It's about what happens after. Will you keep chasing random just to keep up the appearance? Or will you reconnect with the part of you that created from chaos, not for clout? The part that made something messy and real because it was the only way to survive? That's your real power. Not the trend, not the fame, but your ability to tap into what others overlook, the discarded, the ugly, the absurd. You gave it form. You gave it soul. That's why it caught fire. That's why it spread. Because people are starving for something that reminds them it's okay not to have it all figured out. You reminded them that brilliance can come from the broken, that they don't have to be perfect to be powerful. You taught them something even they didn't know they needed. That's why they followed. That's why your random tea is now global. But here's what comes next. The copycats, the algorithms, the watered down versions. The noise will grow, the landscape will shift, and you'll have to ask yourself again and again, am I still building from the source, or am I just reacting to the response? Because the moment you start creating just to keep up, you lose the edge, you lose the soul, you lose the very thing that made it real in the first place. Stay rooted in that chaos. Protect your creative madness. Nurture it. Keep it sacred. Let the world see the results, but never let them steal the process. You have to be willing to lose it all to protect what made it real. That's the dark truth, because greatness isn't built on safety. It's built on risk, on silence, on grit. You didn't get here because it was easy. You got here because you kept showing up when everything told you to stop. And now, your job is to go deeper, to reach beyond the trend, past the echo, into something even more uncertain. And it will be terrifying, because now you have something to lose. But remember who you were before this blew up. You had nothing but your chaos, and that was enough. It always was. So if it all fades tomorrow, the attention, the followers, the recognition, what would you still have? If the answer is you, raw and unfinished, still creating, still throwing things together in the dark, still chasing what feels impossible, then you're untouchable. That's how legends are built. Not by holding on to the light, but by being willing to walk back into the dark again and again, to bring something new into the world. That's what this is about. Not validation, not acceptance, not applause, but the fire, the chaos, the creation. You didn't start with a roadmap. You started with instinct, guts, a vision that didn't make sense to anyone else. And now, look, that messy beginning is lighting the way for thousands, millions. That's the irony. Your randomness has become their clarity. Your nonsense became their inspiration. And it all started because you didn't wait. You acted. So don't stop now. Don't slow down. Don't look back. You've proven the impossible. Now go do it again, and again, and again. Because the world doesn't need another polished product. It needs your chaos. It needs your courage. It needs your voice. Trembling, messy, uncertain, but real. So go. Keep building from the broken. Keep throwing it all together. Keep creating what no one asked for, until they can't live without it. You made something out of nothing. Now make something greater, because this isn't just a trend, it's a transformation. And you are the beginning of it. So now we stand here at the edge of something irreversible. You, the one who once sat alone with scattered scraps of thought, dismissed ideas, half-finished notes, and things no one wanted to understand. You have arrived at a place most only dream of reaching. But not because you were chosen, not because someone opened the door for you. No, you built the door. You kicked it open with nothing but your chaos, your faith in the unseen, your willingness to be misunderstood. You threw random things together, and somehow it caught fire. But let's be honest, the fire wasn't the goal. The fire is just what happens when truth hits oxygen. And your truth? It was buried beneath layers of fear, hesitation, rejection. You had to dig for it. You had to fight for it, and you did. You didn't wait to be qualified. You didn't wait for approval. You didn't wait for someone to say, go. You moved. You acted. You trusted that even the mess had meaning, that the fragments could fit, that the nonsense might just be necessary. And because of that, you didn't just create something new. You created a shift, a vibration, a moment that refused to be ignored. That's what this trend is. Not a moment of chance, but a marker of courage. But here's the part no one tells you about becoming the origin. Once the world starts repeating you, you stop being a secret. You become a symbol. People begin to project onto you their expectations, their doubts, their interpretations of what you should do next. Some will ask for more of the same. Others will want you to evolve faster than you're ready. Most won't understand that the magic wasn't in the product. It was in the process. It was in you. So now you have to decide. Will you become a prisoner of your own success, forever trying to replicate a formula that was never a formula to begin with? Or will you keep walking into the unknown, Will you return to the same darkness that birthed your first idea and trust that there's more chaos worth exploring? Because the truth is, lightning can strike twice, but only if you're willing to go back into the storm. What made the first creation great was not its perfection, but its honesty. It was the audacity of saying, "This might make no sense, but I feel it." And that feeling, that invisible thread you followed, it led to something that reshaped culture, that twisted the world's expectations and said, "Yes, even this has value." And that is what you must protect above all else. That sacred instinct. Because the trend may fade, the noise may settle, the applause may shift to someone else, throwing their version of randomness into the void. But what you know deep down, what lives in your chest, pulsing and pulling at you like gravity, that is untouchable. That is the source. And it doesn't belong to anyone else. It belongs to you. So let them talk. Let them guess. Let them try to package what you did. Explain it. Brand it. Sell it. You already know the truth. You didn't just throw random shit together. You crafted from chaos. You found art in what looked like failure. You found power in what others dismissed. And now, the world moves to the rhythm you wrote, with no script, no safety net, no guarantee. That's not a fluke. That's not luck. That's legacy. And legacy doesn't just happen once. Legacy happens every time you choose to create, even when the lights are off, even when no one is watching, even when you're scared, you've already peaked. Because the real ones, the disruptors, the legends, the originators, they never stop. They reinvent, they return, they rise again. So this is your reminder. When the lights dim, go deeper. When the trend quiets, get louder. Not in volume, but in truth. When they forget how it started, remember. And when you're ready to throw it all together again, do it without apology. Because the world doesn't need another trend. It needs another you. Not the version made for the cameras. Not the version they try to bottle and brand. But the one who started this with nothing but belief. The one who saw gold in the mess. The one who turned noise into meaning. The one who dared to say, "This makes no sense, and I'm doing it anyway." That's where the next wave begins. That's where your real legacy lives. So throw it all together again, and again, and again. Because the world doesn't know what it needs until you make it real. And the next thing you create might just change everything again.